Welcome to Reparenting Daily, your free daily guide for inner child healing and repairing the relationship with yourself. This podcast helps you establish a consistent reparenting routine and is divided into 3 sections. The first is the daily reading, the second is a discussion of the reading, followed by suggested journal prompts, and the last section is peaceful binaural beats meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us. I'm so glad that you could join us on this journey of self-expansion. If this is your first time here, welcome. As a celebration of passing episode 700, I've opened a free membership tier for the Patreon community so you can access additional resources and join the weekly Zoom calls for free. I know there's a lot going on in the world right now and that so many people are really struggling. My hope here is to still encourage others to continue the work on reparenting and to offer a free community where people can come together and do that. I'd also like to thank all of you who've been along on the journey so far. Just as a reminder, this is a free podcast, but you can support the project by purchasing the Reparenting Daily Journal, where you can follow us along all year. This 333-page journal gives you extra insight and resources for each week, and also provides space for you to keep your notes. Another way to support the podcast is to purchase the Fairy Tales for Reparenting series, volumes 1 through 3. This collection organizes famous and obscure fairy tales from around the world into the 3 phases of the hero's journey. While you might think that fairy tales are for kids, I'd like to challenge you. These stories contain profound truths and lessons carried down over millennia that we can use in our reparenting journey. It's a fun way to reconnect with your inner child. Each volume comprises 10 fairy tales. They include an analysis section to help you dive deeper into the message, as well as journal prompts and space to reflect on the story's meaning in your life. Lastly, you can also support the project by taking a paid Patreon subscription, by purchasing the books on the website, or by donating via Buy Me a Coffee. You can find all this information on the Support Us section of the website. So now, with these announcements out of the way, let's dive into today's practice. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be listening to a portion of a video entitled The Magic of Faith by Joseph Murthy, and this is a video created by Joseph Rodriguez. As always, you can find the link in the show notes. We're only going to listen to a very small portion of this video, and I encourage you to check out the link in the show notes to listen to it in its entirety. He has such valuable information to share here, and if you click on his video, he also has the document you can download to view his mind map that he has created for this lecture. Just as a reminder, we are in May, and the theme for this month is emotional regulation. We're in week 4, and the theme for this month is practicing emotional balance. Now, I've selected this lecture because it describes exactly how we begin laying down the foundations of our self-identity, of our sense of self, that will then create the emotional balance that we are seeking. And so one thing that I've realized is that many people in the process of reparenting go overkill, perhaps like myself, reading too many books, going to too many different therapists, too many different kind of group therapy sessions. And the solution is actually quite simple because all of the answers are within yourself. You don't need anyone or anything else other than yourself. And so many people who are in the process of reparenting struggle with self-doubt and so don't believe that they have everything that they need. But you do. And so I'm sharing this video because it shares and reminds us that everything that we have within us is everything that we need to live a happy, content, peaceful, productive life. We have everything that we need within inside us. So I shared this with you all to encourage you to look deeper into the work of Joseph Murthy, as well as the explanations of Joseph Rodriguez, as I find the way he explains this perspective to be quite beneficial to the process of reparenting. So without further ado, here's Joseph Rodriguez.
When we possess something in consciousness, we do not seek it, we have it. Another point I want to stress here is when the student questions, how will it come? He shows lack of faith and conviction. Now, this is interesting because this sounds almost a little contrarian for those that don't understand how this works. When you believe in your consciousness that you possess it, that you are that, and it's just a materializing in front of you, there's a different heightened level of awareness that you have. And as a result of it, you are seeing the signs and you're progressively realizing it towards a worthy ideal. If you are on the right track, then you're doing this, what Steve Jobs is talking about. You're not getting trapped by dogma. You're not living with the results of other people's thinking. You are not letting the noise of other people's opinions or all the knowledge that exists in reality drown out your own inner voice. And again, go and watch the video that I did with Autobiography of the Yogi and actually read that book, because you'll see even more so. And this is also covered in Think and Grow Rich. And you'll be following your intuition. And you'll also be infusing that with all your various understandings of different knowledge that you've gathered as you've been navigating reality. And you'll be able to pinpoint certain things in reality that will almost seem to stand out, glow to you, and you'll take that action. And when you do that, you'll be able to, it'll appear to others that everything you touch turns to gold. But the reason why this is so is because you've put yourself in that consciousness where you believe you already have it, and you are in conviction that it is yours, it is rightfully yours, and as a result of it, everything is making it happen. Where people experience negative situations, you will see them as positive situations. Disasters, problems will now seem as opportunities. This happens with individuals who put themselves in this state. Now, it's a state of consciousness that everybody experiences at some point in their life. But successful people who constantly achieve success keep themselves in this state over and over again. That's why when you produce a result, it's very important that you create another goal and you progressively realize that again and again and again. Why? Because this is an amazing way to live life. And when you're not living life like this, things are going to seem random. Things are going to seem meaningless and pointless. And you're not going to be doing things that really give you a lot of passion and joy. And you won't be attracting the people, circumstances, and abundance that are of a higher caliber, higher magnitude, that will teach you some really profound things. Steps to happiness. Happiness is a state of consciousness. Faith and fear are moods of the soul. Your faith is a joyous expectancy of the best. Fear comes to challenge your faith in God or the good. You must look upon fear as man's ignorance or his false beliefs, which try to overcome his conviction in the good. So when you are in the state of consciousness of absolute faith, there may be situations that come up where you're going to have to take an action or so forth, and then you experience fear. Now, this is optimization data for you. You got to ask yourself, why is it you're experiencing fear? To pay attention to the fear and let the fear control you is to break out of the consciousness of conviction, is to break out of the consciousness of fear or consciousness of faith. So as a result of that, your judgment is clouded, you're not as clear, and you don't end up getting the result. So when you see fear showing up in the journey towards achieving that result that you want, that goal, it's important to question the beliefs that are making that fear have power over you. So fear is based on the false beliefs that there are other powers that are external things and conditions that can hurt you. Fear must leave you because it has nothing to sustain it. There's no reality behind it. Its claims are false. Come back to the simple truth. Only your thought has power over you, and the one almighty power now moves on your behalf because your thoughts are in tune with the infinite one. So what this means is that when you experience fear, what you got to do is ask yourself, what's the belief behind me experiencing this fear? Again, see how it's not true. Find situations where others have experienced it or you have experienced in your past where that fear or the manifestation of whatever the outcome is of that fear is not true. And then what you have to do is you have to take the leap. You have to go through the fear. Because when you go through the fear, you'll realize that it was no big deal. That wasn't a big deal. And the more you do that, the better you get at this. And the more you rewrite the beliefs and meanings surrounding fear. You eventually get to a point where you have far less fear. You appear to be fearless. Now, I've been in entrepreneurship for many years now, and I've done a lot of things that have helped me overcome fear. And a lot of times I forget what it was like to have certain fears. So when I'm talking with someone and I'm like, yeah, just stop doing that and do this thing, all of a sudden I see the fear come upon them. They get crippled by fear. And I have to stop for a moment and realize that I understand that they're feeling that. because I had that before. And what they have to do is they have to go through it over and over again to be able to get to the point where I am, where that thing doesn't seem like a big deal anymore. Perhaps you say to yourself, business is bad. It is going to get worse. Furthermore, you may say to yourself, the worst is yet to come. If you have this attitude of mind, the first thing in the morning, you will attract all the experiences to you and you will be very unhappy. So it's all about where your attention is. Energy flows where your attention is. So where your attention is at right now, that's where the energy is. And if all of a sudden your attention and your awareness goes on to something that is bad or some negative outcome or some fear, and you focus on it, now all of a sudden you're programming your subconscious mind to cultivate that energy within, or that fear or that belief within. And then what happens is that it essentially rewrites the programming of what we are trying to cultivate here, which is one of faith and abundance. And the more you experience fear and focus on it and dwell upon it, the more you will orient yourself towards situations that bring it so. We call it self-fulfilling prophecy. And the idea behind this is that your attention is on how it doesn't work or how it's not going to work. And as a result of it, you're looking for data and information. And some people even do this. They'll search the internet for validating information of why it's not so, and they'll find countless information. And as a result of that, it'll further validate their fears and their beliefs, further paralyzing them, further crippling them, and preventing them from achieving success. So the idea that I always like to keep into consideration when something happens where I notice that my mind goes on to something negative is I catch myself through my awareness. I've trained myself to do this and say, that's not actually true. I feel negative by thinking this way. That's not true. How can I take advantage of the situation and switch it over to what can be done? The thousands and thousands of things that can be done. For example, if you have a business and you run a marketing campaign and it fails, a lot of people might conclude, oh, it fails and it's just not going to work. Well, what about all the parts that make up the whole? What about all the areas that you can optimize? And what about all the data that you captured as a result of that so-called failure that is now helping you move towards your goal? When you start to look at it that way, you're more likely to look at the data that way. You'll get excited about that data that way, and you'll be able to figure out the next move. And also, when it comes to business is bad, let's say even the market is bad for whatever reason in a certain industry. Well, if you focus on that, then you're just going to get involved with everybody else who thinks that way and only sees a limited amount of options available, most likely leading to failure. But if you look at that and say, well, I understand that people say that it's bad or the market reports say, however, I'm still focused on figuring out ways on making it work. I know I can make it work. There are ways to make it work. All of a sudden, you'll look into different areas, your brain power, all the experience that you have will go in and work something out where you will find maybe an alternative way of doing things or an alternative area where you could do business with, hedging, or some kind of thing will show up as a result. But it would never show up as long as you stay focused on how it's bad. You can experience nothing outside your own mentality. Your dormant mental mood is the way you think and feel inside about yourself, others, and the world in general. What is your present mental attitude? How does it feel inside? Are you worried, confused, angry, or concerned about other people's actions? Or are you not happy because you are dwelling mentally on limitation? See, the beauty of this is you can always inventory yourself. You can always go within yourself and ask yourself, how do you feel? How do you feel about certain people, circumstances, situation, opportunities, problems, whatever? And all these things will tell you where you're orienting yourself. It'll tell you about how you feel in your mood. Now, you can take all those feelings and moods that you have and those different ideas that you have that feel negative, and you can rewrite the meaning. You can look for situations where others have overcome that or looked at it from a different perspective to create a positive meaning. And you can adopt that as your belief. You can adopt that as your idea. You can adopt that as how you look at reality. And then the way you look at reality starts to change and the way you feel changes. And as a result of it, you feel good most of the day or all of the day. And some who are not in the understanding of how all this stuff works might see that as impossible. Well, if you see that as impossible, then again, you're creating that belief and you're not looking at those that were actually able to create it to be so. So the fact is this, is that you're going to have different feelings about various scenarios. And those feelings are governed by the meaning you're giving to that particular scenario or situation. And when you change the meaning internally, that situation changes. As the saying goes, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now, why do we want to change the way we look at things? Because by changing the way we look at things, we change what it is, the meaning we get, and our orientation towards our goal. Because if you want to achieve success, you're going to have to maintain a positive flow, a positive vibration. Flow by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, we talk about this, maintaining flow. You know you're in flow, and when you're creative, when you're doing the right things and you are being somewhat challenged, but also you're rising up to the challenge and you're learning and growing, that's flow. And you stay in flow when your focus is on the goal. You have to know where you're going. But if you orient yourself outside of it by focusing on a feeling that is negative, now all of a sudden you throw yourself out of flow. Now, if you have a belief about that feeling in the positive, when that idea or that experience shows up, you have the positive meaning about it, and then you stay in the flow. Begin to anchor your mind on thoughts of peace, success, and happiness. This is really prayer. Do this frequently, and you will be like the Irish farmer who said, "It's a habit of mine to be happy." Your dominant mental attitude rules and governs all your experiences. Therefore, nothing can come into your world but the outpicturing of your mental attitude. Love all things good, and even your so-called enemies will be constrained to do good to you. See, what happens is that when you interact with people, if you're operating where you see positive and the good and so forth, when you connect with people, what's going to happen is they're going to mirror that back to you. We have mirror neurons in our brain, and that's how it's going to be. Think about a situation in your life when you're feeling great and you are in a high flow and in state and so forth. And when you connected with someone, maybe before connecting them, they might have seemed negative or down. And all of a sudden you connect with them on that energy, they get positive right then and there. Now think of a situation when you are not as high or not as much in that state. And when you try to connect with someone that maybe is negative, all of a sudden you get negative. Because this is what we talked about in Pitch Anything. It's called frame control. Now this stuff is very multidimensional. There's a lot of different ways of explaining it. But the idea is this. Your dominant mental attitude governs your feelings and how you look at the world and how you carry yourself, your body language, your voice tonality, all these different things. And when you're interacting with people, people receive that. And we're oriented to, as humans, to pay attention to who is a high status human being, because that person offers us resources and they're from a place of abundance. Now, when you present yourself as a high status human being, which is one who navigates reality with ease and confidence and has a lot of positivity and energy and is passionate and has this certain kind of energy that they carry with them, the other person has been conditioned biologically to flip switches in their brain. They don't even know they're doing it, to go into your reality. Now, this is why we train ourselves to, it says here, even learn to love your enemies. Because we don't want to create any kind of stories that will get us to change ourselves from positive to negative when we are in the presence of people or different kinds of situations. The more stories, the more beliefs, and the more ideas that we change that are oriented towards negativity, the more we will remain positive in these situations, and that will work to our advantage. This goes into our next point, harmonious human relations. It is foolish to blame or accuse others, as we must realize that others are witnesses telling us who we are, as within so without. If there is discord within, there will be discord without. If we dwell in a mood of lack and limitation, others must come and testify to our lack. So it's important now to practice self-awareness, to see where you're putting out that energy. Is it the words that you speak? Are you speaking from a place of negativity? Is it your energy and passion that you have, which is a net result of being on a progressive realization towards an ideal? The feeling of success is contagious. People want to be around people that feel successful because those people are happy. And as a result of it, we want to be around people like that. So what happens is that when you are putting out that energy, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to be reflected back to you. Now, if you don't have that energy and you have limitation and anger and your voice tonality is that of defeat or resentment, or you are talking about negative things, now all of a sudden you're going to attract people in that same frame. And they're going to connect with you, and you're going to want to connect with them, and you're not even going to realize that you were in this situation and you're further taking yourself away from your goal. Now, what they are doing is they're telling you about who you are. It's not their fault. You have attracted them into your life as a result of how you are, and they're telling you about yourself. So you can't get angry or blame them. Now, this is happening at the obvious level and even nuance level. Okay, you'll find this to be true as you continue to evolve in the skill. Even at a nuance level, you might meet somebody that's like 80 or 90% a lot of fun because you are in that space and that's who you are. And then there's like a 10% kind of negativity that they have that every time shows up. Now, people don't realize how this stuff works, might blame the person, say, well, that person's mostly positive, but then there's certain times where they get negative. What we fail to realize is that we're like that as well. There are times where we're negative like that. And this person is revealing it to us. So as a result of them revealing it to us, we got to remember that they're doing us actually a service. Now, how does this translate? This puts us back into positivity because we have gratitude for them. Have gratitude for the people that reveal to you. And, Carl Jung talks about this. You do not become enlightened by imagining beings of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This means that when you're connecting with people and your darkness becomes conscious, that you don't run away from them and get angry at them or blame them, but rather accept them and understand that they're revealing something about yourself, and you embrace it. Now, as you embrace it and you make peace with it and you go to work on it, you'll find yourself not having those people or having that side of them show up in your interactions with them. The first thing you learn is there is no one to change but yourself. The above truth has outer and inner meanings. As you would that men should think about you, think about them in a like manner. As you would that men should feel about you, feel about them in a like manner. As you would men to act towards you, act towards them in a like manner. This is to be emphasized. What you think about others is actually what you're thinking about yourself. If you talk bad or talk down upon others, you are thinking and talking bad about yourself. And you're going to get that in your reality. It's going to be reflected to you. How you feel about everyone in your reality, people in your immediate reality, people all over the world, how you feel about them is how you feel about yourself. And as long as you continue feeling that way about yourself, you're going to attract it. Now, when you change the way you feel about yourself, you'll start feeling better about other people. When you think or change the way you think about yourself, you'll start thinking better about other people. The world will seem like a friendly place. And what happens is that whatever it is that you do, understand something, that what you're doing, and this is something that was emphasized in The Strangest Secret. He talked about if you think that you could live your life by deluding others, you will end by only deluding yourself. If you believe you can enrich yourself by deluding others, you will end by deluding yourself. So understand something, whatever you put out, and if you might think you're slick by deluding people, somewhere, somehow it comes back to you. This is how it works. So it's important to be upfront, keep it real, be honest, and do good. And then what's going to be very interesting is you're going to have a greater sense of awareness when you are dealing with a deceptive person. So one of the questions I get a lot is, how do you know if someone's keeping it real? Well, you keep it real and you observe that your awareness is higher and you'll see inconsistencies in them, and then you have a choice whether you want to deal with them, continue dealing with them or not. Do you observe your inner talking? For example, you may be polite and courteous to someone in your office, but when his back is turned, you are very critical and resentful towards him in your mind. Again, this is deception. All you're doing is you're just playing yourself. You're just deceiving yourself, and you're creating these meanings and stories that where your mind is focused on, and you're attracting more of that into your life. Now, if you talk to somebody's face and you talk bad about them, it is no different than when you talk in your mind bad about them. Remember that. Your brain doesn't know the difference. If you talk in your mind negative about somebody, it doesn't make you a better person than if you hold yourself back from talking negatively to them in person. What we want to do is we want to change our internal so we have positive things to say about people. There's always positivity. Understand something, that people are in their own reality and they're doing whatever they want to do and whatever. And your goal is to create your vision. And when you start to think and talk positively about people, you'll see how they're actually revealing to you your consistencies or lack of consistencies, and you'll appreciate them for it. And when they feel this appreciation, they're more likely to convert over. Remember, we talk about law of state transference over to positivity. I had met somebody I was 19 years old. He was a good mentor to me, and he said, one of the greatest things that you can do in life is to turn an enemy into a friend. And that is a very powerful lesson that I meditated upon for many years, and I keep focusing on it. How do you turn an enemy into a friend? Well, you do it internally. Internally, you make peace with them. Internally, you befriend them. Such negative thoughts are highly destructive to you. It is like taking poison. You are actually taking mental poison, which robs you of vitality, enthusiasm, strength, guidance, and goodwill. So when you think negative about another person or whatever, you are taking mental poison, which robs you of vitality, enthusiasm, strength, guidance, and goodwill. Now, what does this do to your faith?
Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed this lecture from Joseph Rodriguez. As always, you can click on the link on the show notes to view this video in its entirety. It's about an hour and a half long, or maybe I think hour 12 minutes, I forgot. But in any case, this video really explains how we can begin reshaping our subconscious patterns to establish new beliefs, to create the foundation of our emotional reality and our emotional regulation. And so as we reflect on some questions today, I'd like to ask you the first question: what in your life is the most challenging emotional situation to regulate? And what has been the most challenging aspect of that situation or circumstance or personal relationship to regulate you back to your own power? Number 2, where have you exceeded and excelled and succeeded in repatterning your own subconscious mind so far on this reparenting journey? And number 3, what else do you need? What kind of support, resources, understandings, discussions, etc.? What do you need to help further the development of your subconscious mind in terms of reparenting and creating new expectations? As always, thanks for being here. Take care of yourself, and please do Welcome back. Now, this is the third and final section of the daily podcast. This is your silent meditation. Please find a place where you can be comfortable and undisturbed, where you can relax and spend some time with yourself for the next 10 minutes. You can choose to be sitting, standing, lying down, or in whatever position makes you most comfortable today. Just take some time to listen to yourself. Next, be sure that you're taking time to be with your breath and to connect more fully with your body. Don't be disturbed or overwhelmed by your thoughts. Simply allow them to pass. Just observe them. Do not engage with your thoughts. Only be mindful of them passing, as if they are leaves drifting down top river. Use this time to connect with yourself. Whatever time of day you are listening to this, namaste.